She's riding shotgun and she looks like a star. Yeah, she's got the style that makes you think she's made out of gold. She says she likes it better when we go off-road. Yeah. I'm gonna make it worth your while. I'm gonna make it worth your time. I'm gonna make it worth your while. When she's with me, we're like superstars. Windows roll down, radio on. I think we could go far. We don't need money. We can skip that part. All I want is her to be with me. She's got a ticket to my heart. The sky is blue, I got the sun in my eyes. It can't get better than when she makes that smile. Yeah, she's got that style that makes you think she's made out of gold. She's turning up the volume on the radio. Yeah. I'm gonna make it worth your while. I'm gonna make it worth your time. I'm gonna make it worth your while. When she's with me, we're like superstars. Windows roll down, radio on. I think we could go far. We don't need money. We can skip that part. All I want is her to be with me. She's got a ticket to my heart. Ticket to my heart. Uno, dos, tres, go. In my blue striped car, she's riding shotgun and she looks like a star. Yeah, she's got the style that makes you think she's made out of gold. She says she likes it better when we go off-road. Yeah. I'm gonna make it worth your while. I'm gonna make it worth your time. Gonna make it worth your while. When she's with me, we're like superstars. Windows roll down, radio on. I think we could go far. We don't need money. We can skip that part. All I want is her to be with me. She's got a ticket to my heart. The sky is blue, I got the sun in my eyes. It can't get better than when she makes that smile. Yeah, she's got that style that makes you think she's made out of gold. She's turning up the volume on the radio. Yeah.
Hello, welcome. Hello, welcome everybody. And our co-host today here is Paul's Blind Soup for the Soul. Hi, Paul.
Hello. Hello, how's everybody?
Oh, and our last, yeah, I'm going to say hello to people in a few minutes. And our last live stream was quite successful. When we ended the live stream, we had around 40 views, but within a few days we had 130 views. Tons of replay viewers.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's good for my live streams. Getting that many, that's excellent for my live streams. And the so today, last week, and this is part of a playlist. This is all the playlist link is down below if you want to keep up with our playlist, because we are live streaming every Monday for the month of October, because October is Blindness Awareness Month. So we also have a two-year playlist, because Paul and I used to co-host a live stream for the YouTube blind community, but all were welcome for every month for 2 years, and that playlist is linked down below in the description box as well. And so last week we talked a lot. We started with me telling about my journey becoming, because I wasn't born blind, although I was born with an extremely rare retinal disease. Unknowingly, I was born with this extremely rare retinal disease, hereditary, that I was born with that, but the blindness didn't present itself until my early 40s. But I told my story, and today I thought Paul could tell more of. He's told a little bit of his story last week, but he could tell more of his story today. And then we can also, I did some research. I can ask some trivia questions about blindness, and we can also have Q&A, which you can see that I put that on the top of the chat. To please ask your questions in the chat, and any questions about blindness. So let's say hello to Cool Gamer. Hi, Cool Gamer. Hi, Art with Davey, Art with a Pen. Hi, Grayscale Painting. Hello, Lisa B. And Mrs. V. Hold on.
Grayscale says he's listening while he's driving. That's good. No texting, though, while you're driving.
And I'm sorry, I'm scrolling up. And I'm pushing buttons that don't need to be pushed. And okay, and I hope Marsha here. Marsha is her name of her YouTube channel is Marsha is Blind Stitches Creations. Hi,
okay.
Marsha. Oh, and Mrs. V is going to be in the background, and she shared us out. Thank you. And we already have 10 thumbs up. So in a few minutes, well, maybe at 15 thumbs up, I'll play I'll do my happy dance. And so, how are you today, Paul?
I'm doing okay. Guess where I'm at, everybody?
You're not at home?
No, I'm home. I'm in Lisa's art room.
Oh.
I'm privileged. That's a big deal, right?
Let me try to see that close up. I got to see.
Part of our room.
Oh, nice shelving behind you. Yes.
Yeah, you can adjust all those shelves to whatever you want. Make them like 2-inch by 2-inch little cubby holes where I got some of my flutes in there. And or you can make them into bigger cubby holes, or a full shelving unit, a foot by a foot wide, whatever you want. It's just like all these different shelves with pegs and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's nice.
So that's a big deal to be in this room, right, Diana?
Yes, if the room is designated just to be an art space, an art room, that's really great. Mine's a multi-purpose room.
Oh, so, no, that's a very good answer. Wow. I'm impressed. No, this is dedicated. This is Lisa's room.
So, but you have a 2 or 3 bedroom house.
3 bedroom.
Right. We have a 4 bedroom house, and so this one room has wardrobe closets in it because I live in a 150-year-old house that barely has any closets. So in this room there was no closets at all. So I have IKEA wardrobe closets and 2 or 3 bookshelves, a desk, and then I make it all work so I can actually do work in here. I can actually work on up to 30 by 40 inch paintings in here if I have to. I've done that.
Cool. Well, I guess I could tell you a little bit about my story. I apologize, everybody, if I cut in and out. I'm doing the best I can out here in the boonies.
Yeah, he's out, and he just updated his internet, and so it's better than it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got no other choice because there's really nothing out here. I had to do Starlink. And I don't understand, you know, I know that you can move it around, it's mobile, but I mean, we found the best spot, and I don't know, I think it was in the 90 percentile, but for some reason, my numbers are all over the place. Anyway, I wanted to apologize for that. That happens. Just wait patiently. It should come up. Usually I'll catch it and I'll just stop talking. And then when I see it come back on, I'll just start talking.
Right. So do you want to start like you were born blind, totally blind in one eye, right?
When I was born, I was born actually in England, everyone. In Yorkshire, West Yorkshire. And at the time of my birth, my father was an American citizen. So he vouched for me to be an American citizen. So my citizenship is born unto an American citizen. So when I was 9 months of age, they were moving back to America. So I was raised in America, but born in England. I was, in England for 9 months, from birth to 9 months of age. So I'm raised here in the United States. I'm an American, but I was born in, a fun fact, in West Yorkshire, England. Shout out to all the Brits out there.
Oh yes, and we do have some. We have Jordan Mahoney comes from Ireland. He might be joining us today. Danny McKay, or I forget his last name. Danny. He might be joining us. He comes from the UK. Let's see, that's 2 of our UK blind friends, but I have some other UK friends.
You know what? I'm curious if anybody knows Ian Jackson. I know he's kind of like MIA on social media, but you can reach out to him. If you know a way to reach out to him, it would be great for him to come out. So at 9 months of age, before my parents left back to the United States, I was diagnosed with congenital glaucoma. That's just, a fancy way of saying that it's not hereditary. It just is. It's a very rare glaucoma disease. It's just congenital. There's no explanation of it. It just happens. I was also born with an abundant blood vessels in the left eye. Why I always had problems with my left eye first. it just simply overcrowded the eye and ended up strangling the eye, and the peripheral vision is the weakest, and so, you know, pretty much in my mother's womb. So I'm pretty sure I had glaucoma even before I was born. But at 9 months of age, or it was, no, I take that back. I was 3 months of age. We left in 9 months. So between the 3 and 9 months, I went to the doctor, and the doctor, you know, said that I had some glaucoma surgery done on the eye pressure, and he did the right eye first because my mom noticed that the right eye was doing some funny stuff, and I was diagnosed with glaucoma, and he said that when you go to the States, you're going to have problems with the left eye. And I've been with doctors ever since. What I recollect was at pretty much from birth all the way to 8 years of age, the left eye at best was legally blind. I could only see a little bit of light, and maybe the first or second line on the eye chart. The right eye, I had, you know, 20/40 vision with glasses, so I could function. I had
This is where Paul drops out sometimes. He'll be back in a few minutes. And hello, Ann Lawver and Blind Neil. Hi. Joined us. Recently joined us.
Who came in?
Blind Neil and Ann Law.
Oh, Blind Neil and Ann. Hello, Madonna, right?
And Madonna. Hi, Madonna.
So the right eye was about 115 degrees out of 180, and IC is around 180. And I could function like that all my life, and so I just monitored it. At age 35, I had a cornea transplant. And then at 48, 49, I had a second cornea transplant. Still maintaining 20/40. And at that time, with the cornea transplant, my vision actually improved to 20/30. With all those extra surgeries, my eye, the glaucoma started getting out of control. I had a surgery done where they put a little bleb in the eye. It's like a little incision in the eye that has a bow stitch tie on the incision in the eye. And when it heals up, it makes like a bleb, like a volcano. And I could just massage the eye and release pressure that way. That seemed to work for a while, but then eventually scarred over, and my pressure started increasing again. So I had to go into for some routine surgery at age 52, where I had a needling done, where you just go to the surgery center, and pretty much it's outpatient. Pretty much everything is outpatient these days. And they poked a little hole in the membrane there to release the pressure, and then my eye was supposed to be stabilized. Well, that evening it did not, and it hemorrhaged and collapsed, where my eye pressure went down to 0 and collapsed in on itself and hemorrhaged. And I had my eye full of blood. I went through a period of 8 months not knowing if I'll ever see again.
Of how many months?
It was about an 8-week period, where the doctors are doing all kinds of things trying to save my vision to see what happened. And they can't see in and I can't see out, so we had to be patient. But with an ultrasound, basically the back of the eye wall collapsed, went into the iris. My retina went into the folded over, twisted, folded over, and went all the way into my iris.
Oh, yeah, that's scary. He just dropped off for a minute. Yeah, again. Yeah, that's really scary.
We're not talking about blood that that when you cut your finger, it drips all over the place. When in the eye, the blood turns, it coagulates in peanut butter. And so that's why I couldn't see, along with the back of the eye just being all the way into my iris. So the theory was to have a couple delicate surgeries, and one was just to make incisions on the eye like you're paring an onion, to release some of the blood but not do too much, because there's a lot of pressure now underneath there and with all the coagulated blood. And what happens then was, the theory was, the eye will start absorbing, your body will start absorbing the blood, and then the swelling will go down, and hopefully the eye will just pop back into place, the back of the eye. So I went through about an 8 week, it took about 8 weeks of that. And then my vision started coming back.
Oh, great. Thankfully. Yeah, that sounds very scary indeed. And
they might suspect that I might have a retinal detachment. So we went in there and had another surgery where he went in expecting to sew back on part of the retina. Turned out everything went back into place and everything was beautiful, and he just cleaned a little bit more blood, took that area that he was working on inside the eye and refilled it with this like saline gel, because inside your eye you have, liquid and gel in your eye. Well, when he had to remove some of that to work inside the back of the eye, so that now it's replaced with saline gel, sewed me up, boom, we're all good to go. So I find out a month later after that pretty much that's what I see is what I'm going to see. And I had permanent optic nerve damage. The optic nerve, on the end of the optic nerve, there's these little hairs around your optic nerve that goes to your brain from the back of your eye. And that's your peripheral. And all that got destroyed. And so I ended up now having tunnel vision, major tunnel vision. So with blindness, there's many different spectrums. And according to the United States, for what I understand, is legal blindness is your visual acuity of 20/200.
right, legal blindness is on a spectrum that starts at 2200 vision and goes all the way to total blindness, with all kinds of blindnesses and levels of blindness in between.
And then number 2, you are legally blind if your visual field is less than 10 degrees visual field. Be it your outside vision like Diana, where I'm affected on my outside vision.
I'm not. My central vision
where Diana's got the central vision.
But my peripheral vision is good.
Yeah. So when you figure out that area, if it's less than 10 degrees, you qualify for being legally blind there. So I get both. On both of them, it qualifies me. So at age 52, I apply for Social Security disability. I was truly blessed through my employer to have insurance. It's kind of like, long-term, short-term, and long-term disability insurance when you work with your employer. And you either pay a premium.
Right.
My employer ends up paying the whole thing. So I was truly blessed there. I had good benefits. And so that was a supplement income while we were trying to figure everything out. And then eventually that insurance company helped me get a lawyer, and I pretty much got on Social Security disability in 6 months. So that was pretty good, because some people, sometimes they have to wait a couple years. I ended up qualifying and getting in there pretty quickly. So that's
yeah, I haven't heard that. What I've heard, I got a lawyer right away and didn't have to pay for the lawyer, because the way it works where I am is that the most people that apply for disability don't get it on the first time, but that's usually people with kind of nebulous issues like back issues or something that could be interpreted different ways. Usually blind people will get it right away. But anyway, because of that, I hired a lawyer that specialized in disability right away.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even take your case unless he knows he's going to win it, because the way he gets paid is through the government. So his paralegal will screen you and make sure yours is a winning case, because they don't even want to take you because you don't have to pay for it. You don't pay for it because the only way they're going to get paid is if they know it's going to be a winning case, and then they get paid through the government. So I was able to do it that way and got it very quickly.
Didn't they take that off of your retro pay?
No, nothing.
No, that's good. They took it out of my retro pay, but I was reimbursed from the insurance company from my employer. Mm-hmm. So, and these insurance companies, they want you off the books. So, that was an incentive for them. I just ended up changing over to my Social Security. So over the years, you contribute a little bit out of your paycheck for Medicare and so on and so forth. And Social Security, I basically retired early. So I'm collecting that. So that's it in pretty much a nutshell of,
and we're taking questions now. Please ask your questions in the chat for anything about blindness or anything about Paul's story. And then in a few minutes, we can play trivia, questions about blindness, trivia questions. And one of my questions for Paul is, so when you had to stop driving, did that turn your life upside down?
Yeah. Well, everything, I mean, it changed my life completely. I mean, talk about a shock, right? I mean, I've had previous surgeries where the most I've ever been out of work waiting to recuperate is 1 year on my very first cornea transplant when I was 35. My second cornea transplant was less evasive, and I was back to work in 2 weeks. So this was a major blow completely. So yeah, to answer the question, I really do miss the driving.
So did the state that you live in, because the state I live in, they're not in the eye doctors are not in communication with the DMV. So the eye doctors do not report to the DMV, oh, these people aren't supposed to be driving, revoke their license. They don't do that. So someone could be driving with legal blindness and get away with it. and I did, just so I could have state ID. I didn't keep driving, but I kept my license just as a form of state ID. And a vision, every 3 to 5 years, a vision test was not required. I could keep renewing my Pennsylvania license without, even as a legally blind person, because it didn't require a vision test. And it still doesn't. So I just finally, after many years of doing that, I finally just got issued state ID and gave up my driver's lessons finally. And I have state issued form of ID. But did your state revoke your license, or you had to make yourself stop driving?
Well, I just made myself stop driving because, for one, I mean, I wouldn't make it 10 feet.
Because for me, I was legally blind, but I could continue working. So I didn't have to go on disability right away. And I didn't go on disability for many years. When I became legally blind and had to stop driving, I was still working because I have the beginning level of legal blindness, which is 2200 vision, which you can be highly functional. And my disability is invisible because I have no mobility issues. I don't need a cane to walk. So I don't need a cane to walk. And you only can tell that maybe I have a vision problem because I use this to read. But so I could continue my career and had to stop driving and went on a 6-month withdrawal driving plan. I was working with a psychologist at the time, and I told her I don't want to stop driving. And she said, well, the statistics are that, especially with the elderly, when people are told they have to stop driving, if their DMV doesn't, if the state and their DMV doesn't revoke their license and they don't have to stop, they don't stop driving until they hurt themselves or somebody else. So I went on my psychologist put me on a 6-month withdrawal driving plan, which I talked about that last week, but I'm not going to go into detail about that. But hi, Rosalie.
No, and well, at the time, I I'm in Oregon now, but when I was in Illinois, when this happened to me, in order to renew your license, so every 4 years you had to renew your license. So technically, if I wanted to be, wanted to drive, I could, because it hasn't expired yet. But when it's time to renew it, they require a vision test, regardless.
In your state, they require a vision test?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
No,
it's amazing. You think they should do that? Pennsylvania should start doing that.
I assumed that it was like that.
You assume that. Yes, you would assume that most every state in the country is going to do that. No. So in Pennsylvania, they don't, maybe they have started doing that now. I don't know. But for all the years that I kept my driver's license but didn't use it, I just had it as a form of state ID. Nope. So it was every 4 years. Every 4 years, I could renew my license, and nope, no vision test required. Which is that's crazy. They should definitely have a vision test, because there are many people that shouldn't be driving and still continue to drive.
We're back. What was I talking about?
Actually, I was talking, so nobody noticed that you dropped off.
Oh, okay.
So, can Lisa keep up on questions on the chat? If she could help with that, could she let me know when there's questions in the chat?
Yeah, well, I can also look too.
Oh, because I can kind of look and. Oh yeah, let's see. Do we have 15 thumbs up? Because let's just give.
Lisa's just saying they're chatting.
Okay, time for happy dance, because we have about 15 thumbs up.
All right.
Thank you everybody for almost 15 thumbs up. going to play. I have 6 versions of the Happy Dance. Too bad many of you did know me. Grayscale's here. Paul's here. They're some of my oldest friends who used to watch me on YouTube, where I used to do live happy dances. But because Mrs. V is one of my biggest fans, in fact, she even bought a happy dance mug, because I do offer happy dance merch. I do offer happy dance merch. You can see it. Well, you can see it on my channel under store. Under store, I offer happy dance merch and all kinds of artsy kind of merch and t-shirts and mugs. And she was one of the few people that bought one of my happy dance mugs. So second happy dance for Mrs. V being here. I'll do version number 2. Welcome back. And so the title of this live stream today is how we live with blindness. So some of that we got that through Paul's story. And
well, I just explained how it happened. How do I live?
Yes, how it happened. I know. And through his journey of how and why he became blind, and his journey through blindness. And I told my story last week, but just to touch on that subject a little bit more specifically, how we live with blindness, please ask questions in the chat. But one thing I'd like to share is that how I live with blindness is one thing in particular was that when I had to stop driving, that turned my life upside down. Yep. And like I said a few minutes ago, I was working with a psychologist at the time, and I told her I wasn't going to stop. I'm not going to stop driving because I could get away with it, since the eye doctors don't report patients to the DMV, and you can get away with it. And I didn't want to, but she did some research because she wanted to inform me more, and she said, from the research she did, she said that most people, especially elderly people, that happens, I think, a lot, when they're told to stop driving, they don't do it until they don't stop driving until they've hurt themselves or somebody else. So she did put me on a 6-month withdrawal driving plan. And well, I know I said this, talked about this in my last video, in our last live stream. I'll just touch on that. Well, the first month I chose the easiest place to stop driving to, which was the shopping mall. And then that's when I started shopping online. Then the second month, I stopped grocery shopping. I mean, going to the grocery store. So there, in my town that I lived in, there was a medium-sized grocery store I could go to if I wanted to, but I preferred, I would do that sometimes, but I preferred to buy my groceries. I learned how to buy my groceries online and have them delivered. But and then in the last month was driving to work. That was the hardest thing for me to do. Luckily I lived near a train station. I could walk to the train station, and then I was only 2 train stops away from my job. And then from there, I could walk a few blocks from the train station to work, and that was fine. But what I wanted to say was, when I bought my own house after living in apartments for a while, my mother finally told me, like I was in my early 40s, she says, you need to stop living in apartments. You need to buy a house, because I wasn't married or anything. And she goes, you need to buy a house. And I'm like, okay, all right. I should buy a house. So I bought a house. Well, I had I was blind at that point, and I bought the second house I looked at, because my conditions for the house that I was going to be at to be totally independent was, I found it all in the second house I looked at. It already was in the town that I had been living in an apartment in for like several years. So I knew how the town was set up. and the town was set up so that everything was within walking or bicycling distance. So it was in the small town that the post office, the bank, my dentist was 2 doors down, a doctor, my grocery store that I got that delivered online. My chiropractor, if I ever had to see him, the train station, everything was within walking and biking distance. And I found out, I looked in some other towns and they just weren't set up that same way. So I decided, okay, I'm going to buy a house in this town. And the second house I looked at, and I guess I finished what I was going to say. I can't.
Neil says he was training to be a forest ranger, bush pilot, when he was diagnosed with RP, and it blew.
So my question is, he was training to be that before blindness or after blindness?
What was the question?
He was training to be that before blindness or after blindness?
Right when he was diagnosed, I guess, like just about to train or about to train.
Now, some jobs you can keep doing, like depending on what level of blindness you have. I could keep my job. Other people, they have to retrain for, like, the Blind Association told me, like, there's an accountant that became blind and he retrained to become a physical therapist. But some people, if you become very near blind or totally blind, then even then there's some jobs you can do. Like the lady who runs our blind association in the county I live in, she is totally blind. She became blind in college. She is totally blind, and she's employed as one of the social workers at the Blind Association.
And
the state of New York had a blind governor.
Neil says that his kid doesn't want to have him living alone, and he is not adapting well. I am not adapting well, which is Neil. He's having a hard time with it.
Neil, I would urge you to reach out to whatever resources you have in your region, because in the county I live in, we have a very good blind association, which they just have so many resources to help you.
Yes. Now, Blind Neil has been around for a while, and I would love him to come on panel, and I know he comes on panel now. I caught him with another channel. He's got the headset and the mic and everything. He's got it dialed in.
Okay, you're welcome to come up on panel, Neil. Anybody is. If anybody would like, I'll drop the link. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for anybody that would like to come up on panel.
Yeah, and hopefully, because I'm telling you, Neil is the hard school of knocks. This all happened to him at a very young age. He was around 17. I believe he was independent ever since 17. And I think we should have him come up and just, do a little.
If he's right, okay, Blind Neil, we're inviting you, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat.
Because for two and a half years, everyone's been hearing our stories. We've had a few guests on, but Neil, you need to come up here, buddy. I'm telling you right now, because everyone will, learn a little bit about you and what, the survival skills. I mean, how do you live with blindness? I mean, you've been doing that all your life. This happened to me when I was, 52 years of age. This wasn't at a young age for me.
Yeah, not at a young age for me either. Mine was early 40s.
So that's another spectrum of blindness, right? Where some people are born with it, and their perception of things are different than somebody like Diana and I, where we have a lot of memory of what things looked like. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like cheating a little, Um, you'd be
Cheating.
surprised how
Come on. I don't call that cheating. I call that
that's
being fortunate.
yeah. I just I'm weird like that.
Okay.
I think it's cheating compared to some others, but I mean, I can't imagine to know what a car don't look like. There were people that were born blind and they're trying to describe. They learn stuff in school still, but you don't have that picture in your mind of what a car looks like.
Right.
Things like that. That's
I know. I
fascinating.
can't imagine. It's a whole different world. Like my level of blindness is a whole different experience than being totally blind or near blind. It's totally different.
Yeah, I know.
Some similarities, but really, no, just.
So did you put the link?
Yeah,
in
I put the link in the chat. Yes, I put the
Right.
link in the chat, and while we're waiting, if anybody wants to join us, we can start blind trivia. Okay, let me get that.
I get away with anything digital. I can see fairly decent digitally on my phone. Right now with this laptop, I can just see the screen. That's it. The keyboard, all that stuff, it's not going to work for me. I have to do the phone, or I need to get like a tablet like Diana.
Oh yeah, you need to
and
get a
have it
tablet.
bigger.
You need to get a tablet.
But I got to do everything touch and swipe and all that. I cannot do the keyboard anymore.
You need a tablet. I would highly suggest that.
Yeah.
So our first questions are, actually, since this is an art channel, my first few questions have to do with blind artists. So here we go. It's multiple choice. Get ready. Get ready. So, which French Impressionist artist, known as much for his ill temper as his wonderful paintings and sculptures, spent the final 20 years of his life until his death in 1917 as a blind recluse? Was it Pissarro, Manet, Renoir, or Degas? I think we don't have a lot of artists in here. We do have Marcia, might know something, and Anne is an artist. Oh, Lisa's an artist. Was it Pissarro, Manet, not Monet, Manet, Pissarro, Manet, Renoir, or Degas? I'm not even sure.
Blind Neil says C.
So he's guessing Renoir.
Yeah.
Let's see, how do I find the answer here?
You don't even know the answer?
Here, no, I'm trying to see it. I don't know the answer. I would have guessed Monet, but they have Manet here. Because if Monet was in here, I knew Monet was. But they're putting artists here that I didn't know. Also, it says which French, and then I'm trying to see where you get the answer. I don't know. It's either, now they've told me it's either Manet or Degas. They said that's a hint. That's a hint. Manet or Degas, or is there two correct answers?
Degas went blind. He was grouchy, Anne says. She says it is Degas.
Okay, I think it might be two answers. Okay, Degas. Okay, thank you, Anne. But I can't.
Rosalie says Claude.
No, Claude's not one of them. Claude, that's Claude Monet, but here in the answers it's Edouard Manet. Edouard Manet.
Edward.
So they're giving me two answers here.
Are they?
So here we go. Now they're going to, next question. Now they're going to talk about Claude Monet. Another French impressionist, Claude Monet, also suffered from failing eyesight during his elderly years. From what condition did he suffer that debilitated his eyesight? Was it conjunctivitis, cataracts, Graves' disease, or retinitis? Was it conjunctivitis, cataracts, Graves' disease, or retinitis? Conjunctivitis, I don't think leads to blindness. That's just like an eye infection, I think. Again, they're giving me two answers. Or they're giving me a hint. It's either, okay, did anybody try answering in the chat?
Well, Anne says, how do you say Monet?
Monet.
Monet. She's talking about Monet.
Yeah, we know that that's not one of the questions. That's not one of the answers. We are talking about Claude Monet. We said another French impressionist, Claude Monet, suffered from failing eyesight during his elderly years. From what condition did he suffer that debilitated his eyesight? Was it conjunctivitis, cataracts, Graves' disease, or retinitis?
Anne says that eye infections can cause blindness. It's a
Maybe
crevice.
some. Maybe some eye infections. I don't know that all of them could. All right, they're giving me two answers. Cataracts, Graves' disease. So I don't know where we're supposed to find these answers. So cataracts and Graves' disease. I my guess it was cataracts.
Oh, there was an icon blocking the IOUS earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another question. This is kind of probably a simple question. Maybe this is tricky simple. Let's see. What other name are blind people known by? Visually impaired, partially sighted, virtually impaired, or visually incapable? Well, visually impaired is definitely one, but partially sighted, I don't know if that's I've heard people use that, but I don't know if that's technically right. The last two are, I know, pretty much wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I should let the chat.
Visually impaired, Anne says. Yeah, and I would, venture to guess that majority of people say visually impaired because in the blind community, in general, everyone calls each other VIPs. It's just, visually impaired person, but yet it's a cute way to say very important person.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So it's kind of like
visually impaired, but I think they're also saying partially sighted. I think that, I don't know why.
I've never said that.
I've only heard, I heard somebody say that recently that was in my blind group. Because I go with the blind association, they meet once a month and I go to it sometimes. And I actually heard somebody call themselves partially sighted. And they were calling themselves that. And I have not really heard of that, but I get what they're saying, but I didn't know if that's really a technical term.
Mm-hmm.
Which of the following activities can blind people not perform? This one's too easy.
What was the question?
Which of the following activities can blind people not perform? Cooking, feeding themselves, dancing, or driving?
Wow, that's obvious.
And that hopefully most people in here are educated enough from listening to our live streams to know the answer. Or can people answer that in the chat before I'm so far I've been answering the questions myself. I should wait for the chat to answer.
And says that she would hesitate to have a VIP surgeon work on her. Yeah.
Well, the answer is driving. They can do everything else. Okay. A blind person can pursue all of the following career paths except which one? Broadcaster, lawyer, astronaut, musician, vocalist.
Where'd you get these questions?
I googled them. They're officially from just a minute. Now I misplaced myself.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
The website technically is funtrivia.com.
Oh, okay.
The world of the blind.
So what was the question again?
A blind person can pursue all of the following career paths except which one?
Okay.
Broadcaster, lawyer, astronaut, or musician, vocalist. Is there anybody answering in the chat?
Well, I cut out on you.
Okay, is there anybody answering in the chat?
No. All the answers from what I heard, it sounded like you could do all of them, couldn't you?
Let's see. Oh, no. They did say that's the question. It says a blind person can pursue all of the following careers except which one. So my guess is astronaut. They can't be an astronaut.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that might be a government. Does it say why?
No.
Well, okay. What kind of question is that then?
Why would they say why?
Because it's like the whole point of questions, Diana, is not just to know the answer, but why.
Well, maybe if you got a really good quiz, it would say that. There's quizzes and there's quizzes.
Hence the question, where did you get this from?
I just looked it up quickly. I didn't do tons of research to find the best one, the best trivia.
Okay. Oh, man. Neil says that he's meditating and then he'll think about coming on it for a few. What? Oh, medicating.
Yes, to me, it's mind-blowing that Helen Keller was deaf and blind.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a question. It's no secret that Helen Keller was blind as well as deaf. She had become, they're not writing this right. She had become so at just 19 months of age following a bout with illness. What many may not know about this heroic woman is her political persuasion later in life? Which political party did she join in 1909? Libertarian, Republican, Democrat, or Socialist?
Huh. Probably libertarian, maybe, huh?
Yeah, but this whole thing is making me mad because it's not telling me what the one right answer.
Blind Eagle says he doesn't care what party she was part of.
I know. I don't.
It really doesn't matter, does
I
it?
know. It's just a question. Sorry. Louis Braille is perhaps the most important blind person to have lived. Thanks to his extremely useful and ingenious writing system, how old was the Frenchman Braille when he devised the system called by his namesake? Was he 15, 45, 35, or 55? And on the subject of being deaf or blind, then there's a famous composer who became deaf and could still compose symphonies in his head and write
Wasn't
them.
that Beethoven?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but somebody.
I think it was Beethoven.
Yeah, so he could hear it, just like the near blind artists that we know, like John Bramblett, who was not born blind, but he became blind in his 20s or 30s. He creates paintings that don't look like even a blind person did them. They're pretty representational, and just like he must see it in his mind's eye, just like that composer must have been able to hear the symphonies in his head.
Or you could, what Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure would say is Beethoven.
What's the word?
Instead of saying Beethoven, they would say Beethoven.
Oh.
It's a guy thing. Guys all the time quote stuff out of movies just out of the blue. Most women don't get it.
I guess you don't get it unless you've seen the movie.
Well, yeah, that's a main thing. So.
Well, we have lots more questions. I'm trying to sift through some more interesting questions.
Blind Neil said that she learned to speak by feeling people's throat, mouth, and cheeks.
Wow.
Nice. Pretty amazing, yeah.
Well, I'm surprised we don't have many questions in the chat about blindness.
No, it's quiet. Well, we've been on it for an hour.
Right.
We're down to 7.
And nobody took us up on coming up joining us on the chat.
Well, maybe Neil said he might come up, but Neil, if you're gonna come up now, buddy, you don't have to stay long. Just say hi and If you feel comfortable, you can share your life stories. I'm sure we'll be here. I'm sure he would entertain us for a long time. I'm sure he has a lot of stories.
Oh, somebody joined us. Let's see who it is. Yeah, but it's Neil.
All right.
Here we go. Hi. Welcome, Neil.
Hello.
What's up,
Hi.
Neil?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome.
Good. Your
Finally,
audio is
thank
really
you.
good. Your audio is really good.
Sometimes my microphone really picks up really well. Other times, not so much. StreamYard is hit and miss with that.
Your audio sounds so professional.
Yeah.
I
He's
try.
got it going on.
I had been going on streams with the drone community for about a year after the pandemic started. And so I was
Wow.
constantly going up and I had to make sure I had good audio.
Okay.
Awesome. So you fly drones?
I was for a little while, yes. I
Yeah,
haven't been able to fly in over a year. My sight became too bad.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. When did you become blind? What year? How old were you? I understand.
I was 15, turning 16, when I was going for my, at the time, is the 365 license, beginner's license. And I've gone in for the field test on the eyes, and they noticed I was missing a bit. So they sent me to get the RP test, the retinitis pigmentosa test. And it was not fun. It was like they put this tinfoil stuff on my eyeball and did some weird things. It was weird. They then gave me another field test, and they noticed that I had lost over 20% by that time. I could still get a license, but I was not allowed to drive by myself. I'd have to have a licensed driver in the car with me at all times. I was not allowed to drive at nighttime. I guess I've always been night blind, fully night blind. A year after I found out that I was diagnosed with RP, my mother had passed away. She was my single caregiver. And I just kind of went crazy for the next 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, I bet.
I basically lived on the streets, just trying to survive.
With a visual impairment.
Yes. And without actually having any help with it at all.
So living on the streets meaning you were homeless?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I traveled from the east coast of Canada to the west coast of Canada several times, hitchhiking, just trying to chase jobs, just trying to make a living, survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And not to mention that you're probably not getting the proper medical care, or were you getting that with
no, definitely not. Living on the streets, I definitely was not getting any type of medical care. Yeah. I basically was just living from day to day. Yeah. During the winter, I didn't know if I was going to wake up. There was many nights I went to sleep not knowing if I was going to wake up the next morning because I was so cold. But eventually I landed in an area where I actually got help by social workers, things like that. They got me onto disability. They got me into the CNIB. I got my first cane. Got cane training. I could never pick up Braille. My fingers just won't register it.
Yeah.
That's probably just from living on the streets, damage to the hands, all that type of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, survived. Just trying to learn as I go now.
Yeah, you're a survivor.
I found a text to speech for YouTube through the Chrome extensions. So it reads all the YouTube live chats to me.
Oh, okay.
And that makes it really handy. Instead of having to use an actual screen reader, which can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard that.
So when you use
it either wants to read everything or it doesn't want to read anything, it seems. But with the text reader,
when you mess around with a phone, your cell phone, do you use VoiceOver?
I'm slowly trying to learn it. Most of the time, I just use the voice assistant.
Okay.
Like Bixby, or if it's Apple, I guess it's Siri.
Mm-hmm.
But for my Samsung phone, I use Bixby. It knows the phone. Like, it's made for that phone. So if I want something done, I ask it. It normally knows how to do it. Turn it on, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like if I want to send a text message, I'll just say hi to the thing and then send a text message to this person.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they're in my contact list, it's like, okay, well, what do you want the message to say?
And then can you have it read back to you to make sure that
it'll also read it back to me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes what you say doesn't come up on what.
Oh my goodness!
It depends on accent.
I check it with my magnifying glass. Like when I do speech to text, and I look back over my magnifying glass. Inevitably, it makes words out of things I said, and inevitably there's things I have to correct.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's because we all have accents.
Oh, but
these things are not made to understand accents. Look at poor Jordan.
Oh,
Jordan
but no,
Mahoney.
there is a way to there is something a feature that helps with that. Oh, I forget what the name of it, but I learned about it at my blind association. They were talking about that, and there is I forget what the name of the feature is, but there is something that will help with that, with how you talk, with a person's personal voice and how they talk.
I know back in the day, there was one program I had used called Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with that one is, for it to learn your voice, you had to read like 5 or 6 chapters of information to it.
Mm-hmm.
For
that
it to
was several
learn
years
your
ago,
voice.
right? So there might be some new technology that might be better now.
Google is getting better. They're all slowly getting better.
And I found if I just speak slowly and clearly, then it pretty much will say exactly what I want. But if I try speaking a little bit faster, that's when the mistakes happen.
Yes, absolutely. We really need to enunciate and pronounce.
Yeah.
Like pronounce our words for these systems. You need to slow down because they're not made for fast speakers.
Right.
My problem is when I speak, like I'll use voice to text when I'm like searching for stuff, right? And when I hit that microphone and speak, if I'm not fast enough, it'll cut me off.
Yep, it'll do that too. I really don't like a lot of the voice technology we have right now because it's too short. It clips us off, like sending messages in Messenger, just Facebook Messenger. You have 1 minute to give all that information that you want to give somebody.
Yeah.
Instead of just being able to talk and then stop when you're done. A lot of the messengers are like that.
Uh-huh. I hadn't noticed that. I do use instant messenger a lot, and I guess I don't speak too slowly.
Well, instant messenger, just just searching in Google, tapping on the search bar, and then there's a little microphone.
Yep.
That's you got to do that pretty quick.
It gives you, I think, 5 seconds to say what you're looking for.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Or if you gotta, it's almost like you can't even take a breath.
I hadn't noticed that. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, because I've heard it cut off before 5 seconds too. So if you're taking a breath, you look out.
Well, if you take too big of a breath, it's too long of a pause, and Google goes, "Oh, you're done. Okay."
Yeah. So whereabouts? What region are you from in Canada?
Originally, I'm from the east coast of Canada in New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Okay.
Right now, I'm living up in northern Ontario, up just kind of north of the top of the mitten of Maine. I guess most people call Maine a mitten, or not Maine, Michigan. Michigan.
Oh, you're talking about Michigan? Michigan?
And I'm about 3 hours northeast of the tip of the Michigan.
Upper Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you've heard of it, Sault Ste. Marie.
Yes.
I'm northeast of Sault Ste. Marie by about 3 hours.
Oh wow, you're a long way. Lisa and I have been up to Sault Ste. Marie. We drove up there.
Yeah, it's the Twin Saults. I'm approximately 3 hours from like the northeast of Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah.
Heading towards what they call Sudbury.
Oh, so would that be, are you South Central Canada then?
Kind of east-ish.
Okay.
Ontario.
Oh,
so we're not really in the middle, but we're not really the East Coast either.
Are you on Lake Ontario?
North of it.
He's north, Diana, 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
So approximately east to west, he's the second province, right? And then he's way the heck up 3 hours from the Canadian border.
Well, there's Newfoundland, there's Prince Edward Island, there's Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, then you have Quebec, then Ontario.
Okay. I thought there was just 4.
Oh no, there's quite a few provinces. There's still Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, and I think I might be missing one.
Okay, so you can have several.
We got a few provinces up here.
Yeah, you can have several provinces.
So you're pretty rural?
Where I am, I'm in a small town. It's all woods around me. We have bears that come to our dumpster.
Mm-hmm. So do you have
black bears?
Do you have many services do you have any kind of agency like for services for the blind?
And not in town. The closest one is 2 hours away.
So have you tried using online blind services?
I have used some of them. There's not really much that they can give us. Like anything that we need done, we can basically do ourselves with phones and that type of thing.
I mean, okay, well, one thing would be support groups. There is, I think, there is available online support groups and through the support groups, they're very informative. You can learn Well,
I've been learning about blindness since I was 16,
Yeah.
17 years old.
yeah.
Like I'm old school to this.
But also,
This is all old school.
and also the new updates on technology and things like that.
Oh yeah, one of the things that have confused me the most is how we're supposed to hold arcanes. How we are supposed to use arcanes. Are we supposed to have the strap around our wrist? Are we not supposed to have the strap around our wrist? Are you supposed to have the cane in front of you or slightly off to the side of you?
Mm-hmm.
It's like little things that apparently can be a huge difference, but at the same time, if you run into something or something else goes wrong, you can totally lose your cane or end up hurting yourself.
Yeah. I lost my cane. I fell in the river moving up here.
How'd you manage to lose it in a river?
He fell in the river himself. Did you say you yourself fell into the river?
Well, I think he got locked up again.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Now this is got to be an interesting story.
So, okay, so we were kind of just checking out the area, you know, we're all settling in, we moved in. And there's a park along the Coquille River. And there's like this, like, everything's like bluffs, you know, so it's like British Columbia a little bit, you know, the bluffs. So we're a little bit inland. We're not at the ocean, but we're at the river, and there's this very sharp bluff, and there's this ramp that you go down to where there's a boat launch. Lisa was chilling in the pickup truck. She didn't want to come down there because she has mobility issues with her knee. She's got a bad knee, and she couldn't do she preferred not to go down there.
And
so I went down there just to enjoy nature.
Just to enjoy it. Mm-hmm.
And on my way back off of the dock, I see the ramp, make the left, and next thing you know, I'm underwater. I like stepped off the dock into the water. The cane didn't even get a chance to identify, hey, there's a ledge there. Because I made a sharp left and figured that, you know, and next thing you know, I'm underwater. And it was like over my head. I had to hang on to the dock and have rescue come and get me and all that stuff. There was no ladder on the side of the dock. I couldn't pull myself up. I couldn't get leverage with my feet because it was too deep. So as soon as I went in the water, when I used my cane, I never put the strap around my wrist. I guess I should have, because I would still have the cane today. You know, that strap is good for a slingshot, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've used it for all kinds of things over the years.
Makes a good slingshot. So yeah, I'm. What do you think about this new cane called the all-terrain cane? Have you heard about it, Neil?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard about the all-terrain one. I've seen the no jab cane.
Yeah,
and that just seems weird to me.
Yeah, like, it is. It is.
Okay, yeah, it'll take a little bit of the shock if you're walking and you got the things right in front of you, but at the same time, like, it just seems a lot of extra for not much.
Well, the same guy that did the jab cane, Sam Seavey from the Blind Life, he would, because he's tech.
Yeah.
He did a thing for I can't remember the guy's name, but he's starting out this. It's called an all-terrain cane, and it's made out of titanium, and it's in 4 sections, or no, it's in 3 sections, I think. So when it folds up, it's not as compact. But this cane, you can lean on it; it won't bend. It won't. You can go mountain
Super
climbing
tough.
with it, everything. And I'm trying to get one, but they're new. They've just been kind of patented, and he's not ready for manufacturing, I guess, because there's like a waiting list, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, I imagine those aren't cheap either.
No, I think if you go online, you can look it up. I think it's about I think it's $150 cane.
But it's the last cane you'll ever buy.
Yeah, until you lose it, like me. How does a blind man
I know
lose
I've come
cane?
close to doing that. I've almost lost one down a manhole once. Because
Yeah.
it slipped right through the crack, and I just happened to friggin' grab a hold of that rope before it totally left my hand. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat from one of your friends, Neil. Okay, from One Ball Bagel. He says he asks you this question regularly about what's the big question is what can us that see do to make those who can't see have a better quality of life? I think if I'll answer.
That's a good question, man.
It depends on the individual, the blind individual, because I know a blind individual who rides trains, and she is totally blind, and she rides trains, and the employees try to help her, and she'll get mad. She'll say, no, you don't need to help me. You don't need to help me. Like, she doesn't want to be helped. So they're just asking if she wants, but they did. I mean, maybe they didn't even ask her first. That could be one mistake, is going to go help a blind person without even asking. Could be one mistake.
Yes, that is one of the biggest problems I find, is when people just try to help you without asking. It's like, whoa, like, hey, back off. I need air here. Like, what?
Yeah.
If you want to help me, ask me if I need help first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not because you're ungrateful. It's just the startling factor. Being startled.
When you're not expecting somebody to be like right there beside you all of a sudden, then somebody grabs you by the arm. It's like, whoa, like what's going on? Especially if they come up, like some of us, we might only be blind on one side. If a person comes up on that side, it can be very startling.
Yeah.
Or if somebody suddenly grabs you.
Yeah.
You're not always going to think somebody's coming to help you. It could be you're thinking somebody's going to be trying to do harm to you.
Yeah.
For me, my vision. Okay, my vision. I have no mobility issues, so my disability is invisible from unless you watch me try to read something. But if I'm moving around and I don't have the. I most of the time ask for help when I need help. So nobody is going to know. Nobody knows by looking at me, moving around, whether I'm blind or not. So for me, I ask for help.
And hi, Bagel.
Yeah, so like in my situation, but excellent question, by the way. It depends on the person, what kind of help they need, or what can somebody in the sighted community do to make the visually impaired person have a better quality life. Asking questions, for one. No question is off the table generally. They don't know. So I think it's up to us to educate.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is what we've been doing, Diana and I, for the longest, trying to bridge that gap, right? because you just don't know, right? I mean, you're not born with a golden spoon in your mouth, so you learn as you go. Like Neil learned that as he went at a young age. I mean, he's from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
All right. So everyone's different. So I think as a blind community, I think we need to drop down the attitude a little bit. And if we've talked about many subjects here on this channel. Remember Bama Blind talking about are you a hero? We did a little subject about that. And just because I made a sandwich doesn't make me a hero. However, Bama Blind's perspective was we as individuals who are impaired, and here you have somebody that's sighted coming, as long as they're sincere, you should acknowledge them and give them that joy of doing something for you or trying to help because it's reciprocal, right? I mean, we all got to get along and we all got to love each other, especially in the times that we're in today. Always ask first. That's your bait. No questions, really taboo. And then once you have a chance to explain yourself, then you can kind of judge yourself of whether or not this person needs help with this or that. But you always ask questions. Like, for example, I noticed that you're lost. Do you need any help? Yes, I'm a little confused where I'm at. And then you ask the next question, like, well, I can guide you there. How do you want to proceed? You just don't grab the person, this and that. Questions. They're 100%. Very good. I think that's
One Ball Bagel said he's leaving now because of work. But so we're doing this every Monday in the month of October for Blindness Awareness Month.
Yeah, come back.
Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you come back next Monday.
Absolutely.
Take care, Bagel. Thank you for stopping in.
Yeah, excellent question, man. I think
she's a really nice lady. It's her and her boyfriend / husband, whatever you want to call them. They're a couple. I think you were watching me up on their stream the other night, Paul.
Oh, cool.
Do you stream? Do you stream regularly, Neil?
Not myself, no. I jump up on a cannabis stream.
Oh, okay. What day and time is that?
They do it every night. It's a nightly stream that they have. After work, they have a relaxed smoke stream.
Oh,
it's legal where they are. It's legal where I am. Everybody that comes up, it's legal.
So what channel is that?
I Love Weed Live.
Oh, okay.
You gonna jump on, Diana?
Not on the panel, but I'll go. I might go check out the live stream and be in the chat.
All right, cool.
Well, I might join the panel because I do have some questions.
Oh yeah.
I've been a cannabis user for 40 years.
So is that in recreational or medical marijuana?
Both. I use it for recreation and medical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to. It helps a little bit with my glaucoma. Same here.
Yes, I've heard. Yeah, I heard that about yes. And the state that I live in, it's not every state, but the state that I happen to live in, Pennsylvania, they do offer medical marijuana for anxiety, medical marijuana for depression, for glaucoma.
It does help.
And for some other things. I mean, it's not in every state, but in my state. And so, yeah.
It works with
me
pain,
to come up on
everything.
stream. For me to come up on stream like this, my anxiety goes right through the roof. So
Right.
I like to medicate. Like, I don't want to get your stream monetized or not monetized, but 18. It'd be labeled 18 plus if I pulled out a pipe or a bong or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to do that to you. So I had my puff before I came up. That way.
Yeah. Well, you're
Calm
handling
myself down.
yourself very well, man. I'm so glad that you came on finally. I'm like, this guy, he ain't shy, man. He's coming up there. He's sporting the headphones. He's got the perfect audio. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, you better come and bring your butt up here.
It
So
took
I'm
time to
very
get
happy
everything
that
together
you
to
did.
do this.
Pardon?
It took time to get everything together.
Time to get it all up, to get it up and running.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's hard to do it spontaneously. I'm sorry. What's the name of the channel again, so I can write it down?
Their channel is I Love Weed Live.
Oh, okay.
And there are several different strains of weed, just for educational purposes. They have weed out there that is so minute in THC and heavy on CBD.
You can actually buy strictly CBD. And there are flower that is strictly CBD, where it has no THC in it. And it is legal in most states. CBD is normally used for calming a lot of the ailments, internal ailments, pain, inflammation, that type of thing.
Yep.
THC is also used for a lot of pain and anxiety and that type of thing. It'll calm a person down. The indicas are normally used to mellow a person out, where sativas are normally used to give you energy and get you moving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand
too,
thank you
so much for joining us on panel, Neil.
Yeah,
no problem.
They got CBD that they sell at gas stations that's made from hemp, and that CBD is fine, but it doesn't work for others. I understand that the CBD from the actual marijuana plant, and if you get a strain that has more CBD than THC, that is the better CBD than from the hemp, from what I understand.
It can be. CBD by itself, it won't get you high. It does not get you high.
No, it won't. No.
It's used for pain control and that type of thing. Swelling management.
Anxiety.
I'm not sure if CBD is used so much. Yeah, it can help. It depends on the person. Each person is different.
Just like to react to all kinds of medicines, just like they can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With every person literally has different reactions to it. Some people can't smoke sativa at all because it increases their anxiety.
Okay.
And I don't know why that happens, but it's their brain starts racing too much, starts going too fast.
Well, then it's also dosage too. You got to dial it in.
Like me, I've always been an indica smoker. I like to calm down, slow down. If not, I'm moving too fast. I start knocking shit over, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Which is no good.
No.
Well, I guess we don't have any questions in the chat.
No, that's it. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up, I guess, Diana, and thank Neil for being our guest. And
thank you for coming up on the panel. And
yes, I'll try to be here earlier next week.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing this every Monday in the month of October for a Blindness Awareness Month, and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the playlist is down below in the description box if you want to watch other playlists that encompass that actually is run over a 2-year period of that we did we did a monthly live stream, Paul and myself, a monthly live stream for 2 years. I am trying to make 2 separate live streams, but two separate playlists. But anyway, one of them is in the description box. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me up.
Yeah.
And,
hopefully
everybody
we'll
hit that
see you
thumbs
next
up.
week. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see how everything works out.
No problem.
And here's version 3 of, I have 6 versions of a Happy Dance. Here's version 3. We saw version 1 and 2 already. We'll take it out with version 3 of this Happy Dance.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.